David, it's great to be back with you, recording another video for the AFS team. And today we are talking about training up industry-leading experts. You all have called this out as a priority, and I'm curious, why is that a priority for you all at American Fire?
Well, in this industry, it's fire and life safety. So obviously, technology is changing. 20 years ago, there were probably 10 or 15% of the different types of sprinklers available. Alarm panels, there were probably about the same, 10 or 15%. Technology with integration and just the different things that they're adding with automation, remote access, the all the virtual stuff. Everything's changing. So where we had a skilled pipe fitter, 25 years ago. Well, now there's so many different sprinkler heads. They need to know which ones they're installing, and when a designer's in the office drawing on paper, by the time it gets built out in the field, something may change and they may add something architecturally where they can't cover it with the same sprinkler head or the panel can't go in the same place. So we need to make sure that our field has the knowledge and experience to be able to recognize that. And I just believe that, even if you look at a football team or a baseball team, the ones that train the hardest, the ones that are the best at their jobs, are the ones that win the Super Bowls and the World Series. And we want to have that Super Bowl team. We want to be the best fire and life safety contractor in Texas. And we want to have the best qualified people when they go out and they're doing their job, and you got a superintendent and maybe a developer and an owner walk on the project and, hey, why are you doing this? Well, this is the reason it's got to go here. Well, what about if we do this? And if they want to make changes to their project, it helps to have somebody on that project that knows the impact of those changes, and then also relay that information back to the office so that we can do the research and make sure that how it's going to affect them. And we want to install the best systems for them. And we don't want a system that is just going to sit there in case it could be called on. No, we want a system that we know is going to work and that they have access to, that they have confidence in their system. So
Yeah.
to me, it's very important to have the best in the business.
Yeah. This isn't the first time I've heard you say that, and listening to you, you really need competent individuals who are going to solve problems and build different solutions on the fly as things change, so that it performs when it needs to perform. And that's amazing, and that's why you need the best. So, what does that look like? What are some of the ways that American Fire is focusing on that, and what are you all doing to help train up the team to make sure that they can deliver on that promise?
Well, there's a variety of different ways. First off, we have to worry about we've got an aging workforce, and when I say that, it's not just in American Fire, it's not just in fire and life safety. The construction industry in Texas has a manpower shortage just because of the sheer volume of construction. We have an aging workforce that is now starting to retire, has been for the last 2 decades probably, and we need to start focusing on the next generation, and that's really hard to do sometimes. So we've got an apprenticeship program that we try to encourage our younger generation to get involved with. We try to watch for opportunities, a lot of on-the-job training in the fire sprinkler industry. There's not a lot of manufacturer training because most of what we do is pipe fitting. And so we've got to take the opportunity to be able to train that side ourselves. On the fire alarm low voltage side, they do have a lot of manufacturers training, and we try to send techs so they can stay current on current technology. And on that side, there's a lot of technical aspects because they have to learn how to program panels. And then if they're having a problem on a project, they got to figure out how to go out there and troubleshoot that panel. And as we continue to grow in the industry on the sprinkler side, we've got valves that are getting more and more technical. So the training on that side is more important. The design side, our designers, I mean, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, people were still drawing by hand on paper. CAD was still relatively new in the late 90s, early 2000s. As CAD got more and more efficient, and people, especially with the adaptation of Windows, and now you've got all of your buttons, you can
Mm.
click the draw line. Back then, you had to use your keyboard, okay, and you had to type an L per line, and then you drew a line. And it really was just lines on a paper. But now you've got the BIM modeling that is taken over, and our designers sit in these BIM meetings. Typically, on a project that is BIM controlled, they'll sit in these meetings for 2 or 3 hours,
Mm.
2 or 3 days a week,
Mm.
and it consumes. But in theory, now it's not perfect yet. They're still working on it. But in theory, they can build that system and walk through that building virtually and see where all the clashes are and all that sort of stuff. Again, now we're training so that they can sit in their coordination meetings and make sure that they, with the other subs, are all on the same page. So the designers, they need to be trained on their product. Project managers are learning more because our building techniques are changing every single day. We're going from what used to be just simple stick and brick to new processes that we're going into a lot more concrete and steel.
Mm.
The projects are going up instead of out because of land values and costs. So the training applies from the new helper in the field all the way to myself
Yeah.
and everybody in between.
And I think I visited the office before when in y'all's training space, you have a rhythm of meeting and doing some sort of training, if I remember right. Am I misremembering that, or do I remember Dane
No,
or
no.
somebody else? Kind of everybody was in there, and it's both. We do this ops meeting, but then we also do this type of training that gets combined with that.
So we do that for our staff as
Mhm.
well as we've got AHJs that are our fire marshals, fire departments. They'll come in here and we'll get, for example, Jersey Village and Champions and Waller and Harris County. They'll come in here and they've got a meeting that they want to attend that is, an arson investigators meeting or something. So we'll let them use our facilities, and then
Mm.
we'll step out while they're having their meeting, and then we'll always kind of bookend that with a meeting at the beginning or end where we'll go over and do some very simple training. And back to the training. We're trying to train our AHJs so that when they go out on a job site and they see something, whether it's our product or our competitor's product, they know if it's right or wrong. At
Yeah.
least they have a basic foundation. Can they jump on that valve and start turning switches and opening valves? And no, no. But they do know how to look at a gauge and say, wait a minute, that gauge doesn't look right. What? Explain this to me. And
Yeah.
they know the questions to ask. Alarm panels. So we've got the alarm panel in the main training room that takes care of the building itself. But then on the outside, we've got 8 or 10 alarm panels, and they're all different because we can bring our techs in here and actually do some training, especially on the younger techs that are just getting started. And I say younger as in less experienced techs, anywhere from 0 to 2 or 3 years experience. That's great training for them. They can
Yeah.
learn how to terminate. They can learn how to program. They can learn how to test that sort of stuff. And during that 2 or 3 years, then they'll actually start getting involved with some manufacturer training as well. Same on the sprinkler side. When they come in, we can actually show them how the system in the shop is actually designed and why it looks like it does,
Mm.
what it's doing, how it works. And then we can train on the valves because every valve we've got inside and outside are all different valves. So as somebody comes out with a new valve, oh, this is the newest, best valve ever. Well, now we can, oh, really? Well, let's put it out here and see. So we'll actually buy one of those valves and we'll put it in our training system. And we've got a couple people that are really, really good at those valves, and they will do everything they can to try and break it before we start selling it to a customer. We have made the mistake of buying valves in the past, and we just couldn't get them to work right.
Mm.
So we pulled them out, put a different valve in, and all of a sudden the system's working.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, well, let's use that valve somewhere else. That didn't work out well either because we didn't want to throw the valve away, and of course it didn't work like it was supposed to. So we ended up storing it in a dumpster outside, as quick as we.
That's right. In perpetuity. That is where it is being
Yeah,
stored, right? Okay, so I mean, just a predominant focus on training. Even the external partners that you have in that predominantly work in fire safety, you all are training them.